You're looking at the Mazda CX-3, and I've got Derek Jenkins, the design director for Mazda North America, with me right now. Derek, you got to be telling me more about this car because we've heard so much about it, and now we get to see it.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this car. It's kind of our first big step into this subcompact crossover space. And you know, it's a new segment. It's not really fully defined, and so we saw a big opportunity to come in and do something that's unique to the segment, and of course uniquely Mazda. I think the big statement with this car is really the overall proportion. You know, it doesn't look like your typical compact crossover, and we've managed to get that dynamic quality that we've been doing in all of our other products into this car.
So this is a B-class segment vehicle, is it?
Exactly.
So you're right, because a lot of B-class crossovers kind of look squished, you know,
Yes.
and this does not.
Yeah, it's a very challenging package to work with, doing a compact crossover. The benefit that we've had with this car is we have the great Skyactiv architecture, you know, so we've been able to have this very long hood where much of the competition has more of like a minivan profile, you know, and then we have a very wide track on this car. So even though the overall footprint of the car is relatively compact, it's got that strong stance, which is important to good design, you know.
Now, you're calling this a crossover. In days past, this would have been called a hatchback.
Totally.
What's the difference between hatchback and crossover?
It's the progressive evolution of the industry, you know. So I mean, the lines continue to blur. In this particular case, because the car still has a crossover stance, meaning it's elevated off the ground, we've got robust fenders and a more aggressive width to the car. It has that crossover feeling. The profile of the car says something else. It says more like sporty hatchback. So it's the blending of those two ideals, which again, I think will give us a unique position in the marketplace.
You talked about the proportions of the cars. As a designer, what do you really want to point out about it?
You know, the big thing, for starters, we've got a very, very tapered, low front end that still has this kind of strong quality, but the cabin's really pushed back, so you get this long hood. There's nothing else in the class that has that proportion, you know, and that makes it so unique. And then you've got this very dramatic sweep through the fender, comes through the body side into the rear fender, and again, that gives it that Mazda quality, gives it that sportiness, and gives it that forward movement, you know.
We keep seeing Mazda evolve its design, always associated with some sort of Japanese word with it. Kodo design.
Kodo design.
Is this still part of the Kodo design?
Absolutely. This represents the latest evolution in Kodo design, and certainly there are some similarities in key areas to our other vehicles, but it's evolving. The execution of the Kodo form language on this car is a little bit more sophisticated. We've got very unique, broader surfaces and not too many smaller lines, and that's kind of where we've been taking it. We want Kodo to express this idea of dynamicism and movement, but we also want to infuse a degree of sophistication to the car, and that's what this car really represents.
Before I got the chance to talk to you, I actually got in and out of the back seat. It's not that bad. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a B-class subcompact, right? Yeah. But nonetheless, with this long hood, I'm impressed that you've still got decent amount of rear seat room and some luggage space behind that too.
I think it's quite remarkable, given the overall footprint of this car and the sleek profile, how much space the interior actually has. And again, I attribute that to the great packaging and the Skyactiv platforms, and it's really just come together in such a nice way with this particular project.
I've asked you so much. What am I missing here? Anything else you want to point out?
I'll tell you, the next big story on this car is the interior. You know, the interior appointments, the finishes, the materials, the overall layout of the interior is unprecedented in the segment. You know, this is not your typical compact vehicle. So we've really elevated the interior, I'd say beyond class above, even a class or two above. And that's not only for this vehicle. I mean, we've been trying to do that across the board, but it's something that's just really evident in this car, and we're really proud about it, and we think it's going to be, you know, a key part of its success. People will be drawn to the exterior, but the interior is what really, I think, creates the sense of value in the customer's heart and mind.
Derek Jenkins, thanks so much for walking us around the CX-3 here. I can't wait to get in and drive the thing. That's always the best.
It drives great, I promise.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you, John.
You already know that you can listen to Autoline's Industry Insight in places like YouTube and Stitcher, but did you know that you can also listen to it live in your car? It's simple. Just pair your smartphone with your vehicle's Bluetooth connection or plug into the aux jack. Then navigate to Autoline.tv using your phone's browser. Find the show you want to hear and click play, just like you would on your computer. This is Autoline After Hours with John McElroy. It's that easy. Never be disconnected from Autoline's top-notch insider information with Autoline on the go.